Hello, my name is Mitch and I draw Blood Force, and today we're taking a look at the big one. Jim Lee and Chris Claremont's X-Men #1. So Jim Lee, of course, made his name on Uncanny X-Men, taking over from Mark Silvestri. Mark Silvestri had drawn it for the better part of 3 years, and there was a brief period where they kind of flailed around a little bit, trying to find out who should be the new X-Men artist. I mean, there have been periods before where they went for months without really having a set guy. And they tried out guys like Kieran Dwyer, Bill Jaska, Andy Kubert got an issue. I believe that's when Gambit gets introduced in that mix. Will Sportatio gets a mix, and I guess they decided not this time, next time. But there was also Jim Lee in the mix, who had previously had a 3-issue stint. He did a fill-in issue, number 248, I think, and then had the 3-issue stint during Acts of Vengeance, and that was the bit where Psylocke got turned Asian. I feel like I should read that at some point to find out what the hell the point of that was. And anyway, they brought him back late September of 1990, I imagine. Yes, with X-Men number 268. And, I mean, that's a pretty classic shot right there. I feel like I should be reviewing this one at some point, where Jim Lee's kind of making his start, and he doesn't quite look like Jim Lee. He looks a bit more like Art Adams back here. That's interesting. But, of course, I wasn't reading X-Men at this time. I didn't get on board until 275, and then 2 issues later, Jim Lee's run was done. He finished up with Uncanny number 277. And that was it. That was so not a long run. What is that, like maybe 10 issues? And he didn't even do all of... There's one issue in there where it's sort of a compilation or group effort anyway. So, yeah, they decided I mean, Uncanny, I'm pretty sure, was selling gangbusters at that time. They decided to do the Spider-Man treatment with Jim Lee, because a year earlier, of course, Spider-Man #1 had come out and had broken all the records as far as anybody knew. There's a famous promo, somewhat famous, I suppose, that went out when they were looking at releasing X-Men #1. And here, I believe I'm showing it up here now. So, in 1990, Marvel Comics broke all records when Spider-Man #1 sold more copies than any comic ever published, which it's probably not true. It's more comics than anybody ever recorded publishing. How's that? They used to publish comics in the millions back in the 30s and 40s. It's just that they were returnable, and nobody kept track of them. And they would often get used for ballast when they couldn't sell them all. They'd stick them in... There's interesting stories about that, where they'd use them for, ballast in ships. And that... Like, they just kind of, when the ships get to port, they just kind of get rid of all their comics and, like, flush them overboard. That's how people like Alan Moore got into comics. It's crazy. Anyway, sold more comics than any comic ever published. We were just warming up, and they actually weren't lying. Because then they released X-Men #1, which set the record. Of course. Now, it set the record by having the multiple covers. So people who are, if you're buying one cover and you're a collector, and, chances are you're buying all 4 at least, and the 5th one here if you can. So this is I believe some kind of special edition version, which collects all the 4 covers. I figured if I was going to get one, I might as well get the combined version. But well, how much of that can we see? Almost all of it. Yeah, pretty much. I think I had that one back in the day. So I don't know if I got the right version, because it's nice having that full thing, and this is full of all the I guess every version had a different poster in them, and this one seems to collect all of them. So that's nice. But it's also on this glossy paper. And this was before they had the computer coloring. And pre-computer color glossy paper kind of looks like vomit. And always has. But I guess we'll have to make do. And this thing here, of course, was... How do they break it down here? Chris Claremont and Jim Lee. Chris Claremont's a writer, but they're both co-plotters. So basically they did it Marvel method. Where... there's some glare there, but not too much. Where they discuss it. Chris goes, okay, go and, this is what I want you to do. This around this many pages, this around this many pages. And off you go. And Jim Lee goes and he just draws a shit ton of pinups. And Chris goes, oh God, what am I supposed to do with this? And so that's what X-Men #1 kind of turns out to be. And this feels like a double issue at least. They don't number the pages. But yeah, it definitely feels like at least 30 pages. And they gave Jim a whole bunch of time to draw this thing because Uncanny 277 came out June 1991. This one came out October. So you get like 4 months about for Jim to just take his time and do this however he wants. The funny thing is, I did see a promo earlier. Did they say is it? Yeah, this promo I used earlier doesn't have the little word balloon with Beast saying, look for it in August. Well, you could, but you wouldn't have found it. Okay, so Chris Claremont is going to try to make this make sense the only way he knows how, and that is to bury all of the art in words. There's not a whole lot of story in this one. There's some story. It's Magneto is going to be the threat again, because it's an X-Men #1, And we get some reasonably cool ships, I guess. I don't know. These aren't the ones that Jim Lee went all out on. But, of course, we're going to get our big splash pages. And this is, count the pinups. I don't like you. That's a little better. So yeah, right off the bat, we can see, we're going to get a bunch of full page stuff. We're going to get just stuff that looks cool and Jim can sell for a few grand. And we're also going to get some kind of gross color separations. I mean, maybe that's the result of being in space. Just all your circulation being messed up. Yeah, so we're going to get these massive shots of Magneto here. And just all the lines. We're going to get real descriptive with the stubble here. And we can't have so much white space as to have him have the whites of his eyes. Unless, again, this is circulation in space. That could also be the case. We're going to go very swishy with his hair. It is 1990 after all. 91? It is 91. And Magneto's got Asteroid M in orbit. And I imagine that's the threat. It's tough to read this thing, man. There's just so much nothing dialogue. Why? Because Jim wanted to draw shit like this. Yeah, we got to do an establishing shot of the X-Mansion. Just do a little panel off to the side here. I'm gonna draw this bird as big as the X-Mansion, and then just draw all the X-Peoples. And again, like seriously, up to this point, let's count the pinups. Okay, so nothing really on this one. This is a double pager though. That's a pinup. That's a pinup. Yeah, kind of. Double pager. There's a pinup. There's another pinup. Every single page. At least during this particular part of it. But yeah, most of this is just going to be Jim showing off and trying to make the highest printed comic of all time, which I'm, you know, at least as far as anybody knows, he did. But yeah, these colors are garish. Yuck, look at all this. That's not great. And this is like, you know, there's no threat. This isn't exciting stuff. This is just training stuff. But that gives Jim Lee an opportunity to have, like, you know, Wolverine go nuts and start hacking everything up. Get cool shots of him creeping around the sewers. We're going to get all sorts of stuff. You're going to get Charles Xavier firing missiles at Iceman. That's what you do in training. So we've devoted like the first third of the comic to just glory shots of the X-Men. Interesting thing, this hand is this hand. He photocopied it. I don't think the whole thing translated, but shiny on the thumb is the same. Up here, not so much. You can see a little bit. I wonder if like if this was the original, maybe, and it blacked in more over here. Or they just decided to ink it a little differently to make it look different. But like this is this line. Yeah, there's, you know, the curve of the claws, that's the same. There's little bits that are different. Either because it didn't translate or because they were trying to conceal it. And I mean, fairly obviously that's photocopied as well. It's an oddly John Byrne looking Wolverine. Every once in a while you see that. Like, you know, you could fairly often see some Art Adams influence. But every once in a while you see some John Byrne too. And it's like, I guess Jim Lee must like John Byrne as well. Yeah. And we get some casual sexual harassment in there between Gambit and Rogue, as per usual. And so yeah, now we're past the introducing everybody stuff. You know, it's the X-Men. We kind of already know them all. It might be a good idea to have like an actual story, but you know, no. Maybe this is why it's a double issue. There's like 16 pages here. And so this stuff, okay, no pinups here so much. But until we get back to the X-Men, like I'm pretty sure this one got used in ads. He's gonna make the Blackbird look cool. And we got some stuff with Magneto bringing up a nuclear submarine because that's his new plan to be a threat. See, he's gonna bring up all the nuclear missiles. But again, it's just really an opportunity for Jim to just do more cool shots of Magneto. And then the X-Men confront him, all cool-like. And then we get cool shots of Magneto grimacing. You know, it's... And, yeah, and, you know, more cool... It's the whole thing. And it's all, yeah, just buried. Every time Chris Claremont gets a chance to start in with the... expository dialogue, he's gonna just maximize it because he has to do something to turn this into a story. And I mean, really, what's happened is Magneto decided he was going to be evil again. The X-Men responded, and Magneto's now all sad because he thought they were buds now. It's like, just because I stole some nuclear weapons, they tried to kill me. And we're getting more stuff. Speed lines, fastball specials. You didn't see that a whole lot with Beast. But I guess this is the time period when they had so many X-Men they had to have two teams, and I guess Colossus and Wolverine aren't on the same team. That was not thinking ahead. I gotta look at this kind of stuff for futuristic energy blast type gunfire. Because that looks very simplistic, and yet it's actually kind of difficult to really replicate. And we end with one big 2-page spread. That looks ridiculous, really. Grabbing a cloak and going all Dracula. But that's okay. That's the point. The point is to make the big 2-page spread that you can sell for $12,000, and then somebody puts it up on their wall. It makes all their friends jealous. And then we get a classic Chris Claremont dropping a plot thread that he might pick up at some point. I'm not sure if he ever did. He didn't get a whole lot of a chance. He stopped writing this thing around issue 3, I think. I don't know if the plan was for him to, just kind of continue his X-Men run. But, yeah, he wrote the thing since the 70s. And then, from what I understand, Bob Harris kind of decides that he shouldn't be writing Uncanny anymore. But you can do this new book with Jim, and then that's over in 3 issues. And, that's your run done there. Oh, well. And, Jim Lee and Chris Claremont did work together again not too long in the future on a 3-issue stint on Wildcats, so I can't imagine there was too much bad blood. Yeah, it's a strange way for that run to end. It very quickly just stops, and then we move on because we still got Jim Lee at that point. And it's like, that's okay, I guess. There must have been. I imagine there was quite a bit of ruckus raised at the time, but again, I was just starting out, so I didn't get what the history behind X-Men was at the time. Unfortunately, I would have liked to have known how people felt about that, although I can kind of imagine. So these are some of the posters, the inserts we would get in the various different versions of X-Men #1. We got our villains gallery. We've got our original team gallery. Yeah, it's the early 90s, so we need to have a swimsuit gallery, and this is probably the beginning of the swimsuit issues, or around. It is around that time anyway. And most of the dudes go for the big shorts, except for Archangel, which is it seems appropriate actually, and Colossus, not so much. He's a thong man. Surprising. And things to come. Were they? Okay, there was the bit. So we got Omega Red coming up around issues 4 and 5. And I want to say 6 as well. And that also had Maverick, who doesn't appear to be in here. Then there's the bit with Ghost Rider and the Brood. Who are you? Oh, I guess that's Dazzler. Yeah, that is kind of... Okay, Dazzler is kind of in there in long shot, and that's the end of that run, because that's the end of Jim Lee at Marvel. He's going to go off and do Wildcats now. I don't know who you are or you, so maybe we just didn't get that far. That's interesting. We were a year out. And a little bit of sketchy stuff. Not a whole lot. Where he's designing Omega Red. And just doing... I wonder... These are the designs for the new costume, I guess. Because, yeah, this is the first time that shows up. Before this, Cyclops is still in his X-Factor gear. Because his stint over there is ending. Rogue... the last time we saw her, she was in the Savage Land with Khazar. And I think before that, she's in the Outback version with the green and black. So yeah, this is the first appearance of all these the new costumes. I didn't even think of that. And this is like, here's all the X-Men ever. I don't even think I can get too much of this. Do the first half. And the second half. What the hell is Nightcrawler laughing at? That's just weird. You think he'd be laughing at Wolverine always pulling that same pose? Somebody pulls out a camera and Wolverine just like springs up. So yeah, and I've said before, this feels like Jim Lee's like just a perfect representation of what Jim Lee wants a big action-y comic to be. It's all these anchor images. It's all these money shots. Like even this is a bit more of a moving the plot along page. You still get this cool shot of Magneto with the Russian sub skeletons. You get this cool shot here. You know, he's gonna try and get some cool stuff on every page because this one has to be the biggest thing ever, and you know it is. Like I said, it helped in part because of the multiple covers. Each version of the cover apparently sold 2 million, or so they figure. Although the numbers are extremely close, so I don't know if they just estimated or not or what. Of course, Spider-Man #1 also had multiple covers. Kind of. It had different color variations. Because there was the standard version. That one there. Ugh. There we go. Polybagged all that crap. There's also the gold version, the platinum version. There's a bunch of different versions, and people bought multiple ones. And the only one that did do that still sold gangbusters was actually X-Force #1. That seemed to have sold because that's supposed to have sold like 5 million, and seems to have done it without any sort of variables, which is weird. The only other comic I think really in contention is Superman #75 with Death Superman, and that one's that one had a variable too, I think, of some kind, because each it's sold like 6 million, I think, but it's two different versions. I don't remember what the difference is. I knew at the time when it came out, but I don't remember now. Oh well. But you compare this with Wildcats #1, which you took a look at, and which did not have very many action bits in it. All right, so this is the same kind of deal. This is a #1. I mean, there's a bit of, Jim Lee's got a bit of leeway in that everybody knows who all the X-Men are. Although you haven't seen them in these crazy new costumes. Look at that. Look how many pockets he has. Look at these straps. That's the thing. Rob Liefeld was about the pockets. Jim Lee's about the straps. He loves the straps. And, but they were trying to achieve the same thing. Where it's like, we're going to kick things off. Let's do some crazy action stuff. And is this the page that someone's going to buy for $3,000? This one? You don't really get much of anything until here. And then you don't get much of anything until here. Like, that's 2. I mean, this kind of, I suppose. Do you have to buy both of these? Can you buy both of them and then just cut out the cool shot of Voodoo? Oh, but then you don't get the shot of Voodoo's ass. That's not acceptable. Nothing there. Kind of cool. There's a cool shot. And then nothing there. Then the cool shot of Zealot. And that's it, right? Look at that one. There's like 20. I don't know. He knew what he was doing before. Maybe they were all just, they were a little high on themselves, maybe? Hard to say. Anyway, I mean, this is what the comics has been trying to get back to ever since, and they, obviously never have, and kind of hopefully never will, because it only took breaking comics to get here with the speculator market. But yeah, no, it's you know, it's a pretty good looking comic most of the time. when we got stuff that Jim wants to draw, all this stuff looks great. Nothing's going on, and the dialogue's like, you know, whatever. It's classic Claremont dialogue, you know, and stuff like this. Yeah, that looks okay. Sure, whatever, it's fine. But let's get more into the X-Men leaping in action. You know, yeah, this is not a classic comic by any means. None of the big ones are. You know, this one, like Spider-Man #1. Yeah, that's the first time Todd tries writing. Oh my God. Maybe we should do that again sometime. X-Force #1, which I believe is also written by Rob Liefeld. Oh my God. No, this was not the age of the writer. I don't think. So, yeah, we'll do something like that next time. Yeah, there's a few options. Until then, if you like this, please hit like, hit subscribe, hit the notifications. Follow me on Twitter at Team Blood Force. Subscribe to me, my thingy on Patreon. Subscribe to me! Damn you. And most of all,